Okay, here's something that genuinely changed the way that I think about food. Every single hormone that your body makes, whether it is estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, cortisol, thyroid hormones, or insulin, all of them are built from the nutrients in your food. Which means if you're low in certain nutrients, your body is essentially trying to assemble your hormones without the right raw materials. And the result of that is those afternoon energy crashes, the mood swings, especially before your period, the brain fog when you need to focus the most, or the skin breakouts. I didn't connect any of this for years. I always thought I was eating healthy enough, but healthy enough is a really vague concept. And it wasn't until I got more specific, specifically looking at what certain foods do to our female hormonal system, that it finally started to shift. But before we get into, here's a quick disclaimer because #YouTube. Okay, with that out the way, let's talk about the 5 foods. Number 1 is fatty fish. Wild salmon, sardines, mackerels, anchovies, just oily fish. And if I had to pick one food category that research consistently and clearly connects to female hormone health, this would be it. Omega-3 fatty acids are what are called essential fatty acids, which means that your body cannot make them on its own. You have to get them from food, and they are specifically needed for the production of all steroid hormones, which includes estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. So if you're chronically low on your omega-3s, your body is short of one of the key building blocks for your entire hormonal system. A meta-analysis found that omega-3 consumption significantly improved pregnancy rates in women undergoing fertility treatment. For women with PCOS specifically, omega-3s have been shown to improve insulin sensitivity and reduce inflammation, which is often the core of what's driving that hormonal disruption. And on a more everyday level, they support clearer skin and a more stable mood throughout your cycle. Now, does this mean you have to eat salmon every single day? No. And if you don't like fish or you eat plant-based, you can get your omega-3s from things like walnuts, ground flax seeds, chia seeds, and hemp seeds. But something important to know here is that plant sources contain a type of omega-3 called ALA, which your body has to convert into more active forms, EPA and DHA. And that conversion rate varies quite a bit from person to person based on genetics, gut health, and overall nutritional status. Some people do really well on plant sources alone, others find they might benefit from either oily fish a few times a week or a high quality algae-based omega-3 supplement, which is the plant-based equivalent to fish oil. And as so often, it comes down to individual variation. So experiment, pay attention, and if you know where exactly you stand, you can get your omega-3 index tested. About 2 to 3 servings of fatty fish per week is a reasonable target. And I'll say that tin sardines are one of the most affordable, shelf-stable, nutrient-dense foods that you can buy and that take almost no time to prep. Number 2 is ground flax seeds. Flax seeds sound very unassuming, and it kind of is, which is probably why a lot of people actually overlook it. But what it's doing inside your body is very interesting. Flax seeds are the richest dietary source of something called lignans, which is a type of phytoestrogen that specifically helps regulate estrogen receptor activity. That means they don't simply just add more estrogen. They help your body metabolize and process estrogen more efficiently. They support the elimination of excess estrogen through your gut, which matters so much for conditions where estrogen recirculation is part of the problem. For example, endometriosis, heavy periods, or severe PMS. And all of this connects to something called the estrobolome. The estrobolome is essentially a collection of bacteria in your gut whose job it is to metabolize estrogen. So your liver processes your hormones and then sends it to your gut for elimination or reactivation. And the balance of that, like how much gets cleared versus how much gets reabsorbed, is regulated by your gut microbiome. So if that microbiome is disrupted, too much estrogen can get sent back into circulation, or conversely, not enough stays active. Both directions have hormonal consequences. But flaxseed soluble fiber feeds those good bugs in your gut that support that healthy estrogen metabolism. But what's important is that it has to be ground flax seeds. Whole flax seeds essentially just pass through your system and you don't actually absorb any of the lignans or omega-3s. So either buy pre-ground or just grind them yourself. A tablespoon a day in either your smoothie, your yogurt, your oatmeal, sprinkled on anything really, and it truly has no flavor. Number 3 is broccoli and the entire cruciferous vegetable family. So broccoli, cauliflower, kale, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, things like that. These are all cruciferous vegetables. And they are part of this list for a very specific reason that goes way beyond just vegetables are healthy. The reason being they contain compounds called glucosinolates, which in your body break down into something called DIM and I3C. These compounds directly support your liver's ability to clear and metabolize estrogen. And that liver-estrogen relationship is something most people don't think about enough. Your liver isn't just filtering alcohol and toxins. It's actively processing your hormones. And if that process isn't running efficiently, estrogen can accumulate, recirculate, and drive all these symptoms that make your cycle feel completely unmanageable. But cruciferous vegetables help that system work better. Research consistently associates regular cruciferous vegetable consumption with a lower risk of breast cancer, particularly in premenopausal women, which is thought to be connected at least in part to this estrogen metabolism pathway. Another study found that women with high adherence to a Mediterranean-style diet, which is heavy in these kinds of vegetables, had a dramatically lower risk of endometriosis. 1 to 2 cups a day is a solid target, and lightly steamed tends to be better than boiling because it preserves more of those active compounds and it's also easier on digestion. A lot of people find that raw cruciferous vegetables actually give them bloating, so if that's you, lightly cooking or steaming them usually helps. Number 4 is pumpkin seeds. Honestly, pumpkin seeds might be the most underrated foods on this list. A small handful gives you a pretty good amount of both zinc and magnesium, both minerals that are absolutely central to female hormone health and that most women are actually deficient in without knowing. Magnesium is involved in over 300 enzyme reactions in your body, including glucose metabolism and the regulation of your stress response. Deficiency is directly linked to worse PMS symptoms and increased insulin resistance. Women with PCOS are estimated to be 19 times more likely to be magnesium deficient than women without, which when you think about it of how much PCOS is driven by insulin resistance and inflammation, this number starts to make a lot of sense. Zinc supports ovulation, healthy testosterone metabolism, and skin health. So if you deal with hormonal acne, for example, low zinc can often be part of that picture. Studies in women with PCOS have shown that zinc supplementation improves insulin resistance, reduces acne, and supports hormonal balance more broadly. Now, you could absolutely supplement both, which oftentimes is the right call, but I generally think getting our nutrients from real food first is always a good default because that food comes packaged with all kinds of cofactors that help your body absorb and actually use what you're taking in. So a small handful of pumpkin seeds on your salads, in your smoothies, in your yogurt, or just as a snack is a really low effort but powerful upgrade that you can make. And number 5, we have fermented foods. Things like yogurt, kefir, kimchi, sauerkraut, miso, tempeh, and this one actually connects back to everything I said earlier about the estrobolome. Your gut microbiome and your hormonal health are very deeply connected. The diversity and balance of your gut bacteria directly affects how your body processes and eliminates estrogen. And a disrupted gut microbiome can tip that balance. So either too much estrogen gets reabsorbed and recirculated, or not enough stays active where it needs to be. Both directions again create hormonal symptoms. And fermented foods are one of the most evidence-supported dietary tools for maintaining microbiome diversity because they contain life-beneficial bacteria that directly feed that whole ecosystem. But again, it's down to individual variation. Some people add fermented foods and feel amazing after a few weeks. Some people, particularly those dealing with SIBO or histamine intolerance or gut that's already quite disrupted, can also have a pretty uncomfortable initial reaction, like bloating, digestive upset, or even worse symptoms before things get better. If that is you, it doesn't mean that fermented foods are wrong for you long term. It might just mean that you need to go slower and potentially address what's going on with your gut first before you just load up on probiotics. So start small, a couple of tablespoons of either kimchi or sauerkraut with your meal, or a small serving of kefir, and then watch how your body actually responds and build from there. So those are the 5: fatty fish, ground flaxseed, cruciferous vegetables, pumpkin seeds, and fermented foods. And if there's one pattern that ties it all together, it's this: the Mediterranean diet consistently outperforms every other dietary pattern in the research on female hormonal and reproductive health. And every single one of these 5 foods fits within that pattern: fish, seeds, vegetables, fermented dairy, and whole plant foods. I don't think that's a coincidence. But as I said in the beginning, all this research gives you the framework. Your body gives you the feedback. If you want to see what eating these foods actually look like in practice, I've put together some recipes in the description that bring a lot of these ingredients together in under 30 minutes. You can download it for free using the link below. And if you want to learn more about gut health and my 30-day full gut reset protocol, then you can watch these videos next. I'll see you in the next one.